Hi, I'm Ben Jet Urquidez, and who we have here is John Corcoran. Hey, famous John Corcoran. So tell me, John, you know, it's been a long time. We go back a long ways now.
We do.
So
we do.
You know, and back in the '60s, you know, and when everything was going on and on, tell me, what got you started doing, actually what you're doing?
A James Bond movie called You Only Live Twice that came out in 1967. One of the old Sean Connery roles as Bond. It was shot in Japan with Masoyama's people. It had ninjas in it. It had Oyama's people breaking ice with their head. And it just stunned me when I saw it. And in fact, I saw it in an afternoon just after I graduated from high school in 1967. And I went back to the same show that evening and watched it again. The next week I signed up for karate lessons. And this was in my hometown of Pittsburgh. There were only 3 karate schools in the whole town at that time, but just like everywhere else, a lot of judo schools.
That's right.
So I was a poor kid from a poor part of town. So
I've heard that story before.
Yeah, well, we know it well, brother. You know what I mean? We both came from nothing, so to speak.
That's right.
So anyway, I found a way to pay for lessons, and the school I chose was in downtown Pittsburgh because I didn't have a car. I could take a bus back and forth. And the thing was, the school was so cold. It was in an office building with hard tile floors. If you could imagine this today, I mean, we're not talking mats here. You know, if you hit the floor for any reason, there was blood splatter.
Well, you know or not, it was either concrete or wood, one or the other.
Yes, that's right. So it was like concrete tile, but unbelievable. But the thing was, I wasn't as gifted as you. Your whole family was gifted. I was a little skinny guy, and we wore those old white gis with what we called high water pants that came down just below the knee. And I have little stick legs, so I look like a scarecrow on a stick. And of course, in that day, it was all adult males, tough guys mainly, that practiced and stayed in, and they tried to get rid of the weak ones. And because I was the littlest guy there, I was used for target practice.
There you go.
So it's just, I had the spirit, Benny, like they're beating the hell out of me, and I'm saying, they're not gonna make me quit. You know, I want to get tougher than them and be able to get them back. You know, so I had the gift of spirit of drive and somewhat of never giving up. And I wanted to do karate so bad and try to be good at it. So they weren't able to make me quit.
So what about in the '80s when kickboxing? You know, kickboxing was born in '75, the word kickboxing, but through the '70s it started to change. But in the '80s, kickboxing was blasted. What was you thinking when kickboxing was coming on and there was martial arts between martial arts and kickboxing? There was a little dividing going on there. What was your thoughts at that time?
Well, my true answer, because I'm not politically correct, look how many people tried it in that early era from 75 on and found that they couldn't take punishment because in the tournaments we were all pulling our blows. Now you not only had to hit somebody, which takes an entire different type of energy and strength.
Brings all that emotion up.
Not only that, you're getting hit back, you know, or you're getting beaten to death. So what came from that was there was a whole rise of people who were anti-kickboxing. And you remember this well.
Yes, I do.
You know, and I always admired the guys like you that could go out and do that because, you know, I was still little and skinny, but by then, thank God I had a writing career because man, I would have never been able to do that.
Beautiful, you know, who's going out there. And so, you know, and as we moved on, like in the 90s when the Gracies came in.
Yeah,
no,
just one more comment about that.
Please.
The cream of the crop rose to the top, as they usually do. You and Don the Dragon Wilson, Bill Superfoot Wallace, you guys were the superstars. And I always admired you more because you went where no one else would, and Don, to a certain extent, foreign territories where everything was fixed with the judging. If you didn't knock the guy out, you weren't going to win. So you of all people, I got to say, because you were smaller than Don, and you were a giant killer. So, but anyway, that was the thing that happened. There was a big split in teaching philosophies and what we're going to do. Are our schools going to teach kickboxing, or are we going to stay with tradition? So that's the answer of your question of what happened there. Now, jumping ahead where you were going to say the next thing, another division.
That's right.
There are, as big as the UFC has made mixed martial arts, or MMA as we call it, there are armies of MMA haters out there, for one reason or another. Now, today, there's a difference in those haters because you can't really teach hardcore MMA in your schools. You're going to lose parents, and you're going to lose the over 50% of the children that compose the students in our industry. So there's even a bigger divide now. But in terms of fans, it's a shame kickboxing never became as big as MMA.
But you know what? It is coming back around.
It is?
Like everything else, John, I tell you, kickboxing's never gone away. It's just MMA became so big that not too many people were still, kickboxing was always going to be here, just like martial arts. It's always going to be here. It's just not as big as MMA. And MMA, even now, is starting to go down. Why? Because people are getting tired. They cannot see when it's on the ground, even though it's very skillful, on the ground. But people get bored. They're all yelling, "Stand up!" Why?
Yeah.
Because they want to see the act. It's almost like the women. They want to see a car crash, but they want to see the guy get out of the car. So in MMA. They because I asked them, what do you like about MMA? And they said, oh, it's exciting when they go to the ground. We can't see it when they're going to the ground. All you see is one guy striking somebody going downward. You can't really see it. However, and a lot of the front row seats, they were losing. Why? Because when it went to the ground, they had to look up at the monitor and they say, man, I paid, $2,000, whatever they were paying for front row seats. They had to look up at the monitor and they said, at home, I have a beautiful TV. I can see reruns. So they were losing a lot of their front row seats. And so now, they're saying, go to the ground. If you can't submission your opponent, stand right back up. Get right back up again. And so they're giving incentives to get them back up on their feet.
Are they?
It's coming back around because people want to see.
Well, let me ask you, what are the incentives then? Because this is new to me. Is there a time limit on they have to get up?
There is no time limit. There's always only the incentive is about if you can get back up and stop your opponent standing, I'll give you an extra 5,000.
I see.
I'll give you an extra 10,000.
It's financial.
Okay. Well, what would be the other reason to? Because you want to finish your opponent as fast as possible.
Right.
But if there's a reason to get back up on your feet and stop my opponent standing, it's almost like the fight of the night. Whoever gets the fight of the night gets $70,000, $80,000, whatever they get. But it's the fight of the night.
But what if both are?
That's only one person.
What if both have their strengths in grappling, and don't care about the extra money?
But again, that's the point. The point is, if they don't care, and that's where it's going, because they're trying to get the fighters to back up on their feet again, so people can see them. And
I see.
But that's their incentive of saying,
wow.
Get them back up on their feet. So we're going all the way back around again because when you come from a martial art background, there's a Bushido heart, there's a code of honor, there's respect, and so forth in that. And not in cage fighting, not that everybody doesn't have respect. It's just you have a handful of people that have respect in there and have the code of honor. So, and that's where we're going back, John. Truly.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. Hey, I wanted to say one thing though. I had some surprises instantly because we had no real setup for this. The audience doesn't know that.
That's right.
They ambushed me like those bad guys used to do to Benny. They just ambushed me, gave me 1 minute to think, and Benny said, "You ready?" Here's the thing. I competed in black belt forms against Benny when he was still competing in tournaments.
I'll be there. Now,
He
that's
killed
how far
me.
we're going. That's how far we're going back.
Now, here's the thing. He placed or won the divisions. I didn't even place. But that's the only time I got to compete against Benny in empty hand forms way back when.
So there you go.
And he was great at that. People don't realize he's a real martial artist at heart, always.
Always will be. However, for all you viewers out there, you know, John Corcoran, just to know that, I mean, a legend, and as far as knowledge-wise, incredible. Thank you for watching. We'll catch up soon.